So I think we can begin. Good afternoon to everyone that joined us or that is going to watch this recording. I'm George Bujaya, one of the national contact points at MCST, and today I will be presenting the Euratom Research and Training Program for 2021-2025. I'll switch off my camera just because of the bandwidth issues and the connection. So some housekeeping rules for this session. Kindly remain muted for the duration of the webinar, unless you are specifically asked to intervene. Of course, I invite you to follow our weekly webinars. Next week, we will have the one on SMEs and the following week on the MSCA. And at the end of the month, we will cover ERC. This presentation, of course, will be recorded and we will be sharing this event on our YouTube page for everyone to be able to access it. If you have any questions, you can use the chat box and we will address them later on during this session. So I kindly also ask you to keep your cameras off since this event is being recorded. So let's move into the program. So of course, you might have followed our previous sessions on Horizon Europe. Today we're focusing on Euratom, which is a parallel program to the Horizon Europe framework. As you can see, I've circled in red the Euratom part, which is about fusion and fission, and the JRC. So Euratom works slightly different compared to the other program that we're mostly aware of. So make sure to be aware of the general annexes of the Euratom work program for 2021 and 2022. Later on, I will cover the general annexes in my presentation. So basically, the general annexes sets out the general conditions applicable to calls and topics for grants and other funding under the Euratom work program. They also describe the evaluation and award procedure and other criteria for Euratom funding. So what I have described here are the eligibility criteria, which for the most part are very similar to that of Horizon Europe. Please be aware, but that there is a different criteria for eligibility for funding. So very similar to Horizon Europe, we have 3 legal and independent entities from 3 different member states or associated countries, and with at least one of them established in a member state. Of course, you may bring on board other partners from any country, but please take note of EU restrictive measures, and there are special rules for entities from certain countries. Again, here, with regards to the gender equality plans, they also apply as from 2022, and they are set out as well, the conditions in the general annexes. Specifically, they are a criteria of eligibility for public bodies, research organizations, and higher education institutions. And of course, always check that the Horizon Europe program guide for up-to-date information on the current list of the positions for associated countries. As to date, only the UK is close to association, so to date there are no associated countries, but you can rest assured that by the time of the grant agreement, countries that have been previously associated the Euratom program can be considered as participating countries. So up to the grant agreement, everything is as previously, and then it's subject to the association agreement being in place by the time of the grant agreement. Moving on. So in Euratom, again, we have the same types of actions similar to Horizon Europe, where we have the research and innovation actions, coordination and support actions, and also program co-fund actions for the European partnerships on Euratom. The funding rates are the same. The only main difference here being for the co-funded, the funding rate is between 30% and 70%. So for the research innovation actions, it's still 100% for everyone. For innovation actions, it's 70% unless you're a nonprofit legal entity, which you still get the 100% in that case. And for CSAs, again, it's 100%. And for all of these, you always get the flat rate for indirect costs, which is 25%. A very important point here is with regards to the CSA, the activities that are foreseen here, the objectives have to be in line with the Euratom program. So we move on to the next slide. So here I'm going to present the work program structure and also talk about the implementations of the indirect actions under the Euratom Research and Training Program for 2021-2025. Note here, it constitutes a financial decision for 2021 and 22, of course, and for 2021 and up to 2025 for the co-funded European partnerships in fusion research and radiation protection. It defines the scope of actions and provides information on the implementation agreements. So with that, basically we're saying that the budgets that are allocated are already confirmed for the partnerships up to 2025 and for the general calls up to 2022. So the work program structure, the first chapter basically explains the multi-annual approach and strategic orientations for the duration of the program. The second chapter is divided into 16 topics describing specific research and training actions that the Commission intends to fund in 2021-2022 through calls for proposal. Please note that, of course, these are subject to change. So always make sure and ensure that you're seeing the latest text once the work program is adopted, and it will be published on the funding and tendering portal. The third chapter describes actions funded through other means than open calls for proposals such as grants to named beneficiaries, procurement, and prizes. And of course, we'll cover and discuss these later on. And as I previously mentioned, there's also the general annexes at the end of the work program. And here it sets out the general conditions applicable to calls, topics for grants, and other forms of funding. They also describe the evaluation and the work procedure and other conditions for Euratom funding. Here on this very heavy slide, I present to you the overview of the main indirect actions in Euratom research and training for the whole period, 21-2025. With regards to the research area on fusion research, it's mainly the co-funded European partnership in fusion research. Of course, there are some supplementary actions providing industrial expertise to the European partnerships as well that are funded. And post 2023, we will also see some development of research infrastructures funded. Then the next research area is about nuclear safety, where we see almost 50% of the fission budget being spent here over the duration of the program. We have several topics and we will cover these in the next few slides. Then continuing on fission budget, where we have 20% of the budget allocated to radioactive waste and spent fuel management. And again, 20% for radiation protection and ionizing radiation applications. What I forgot to mention in the previous area, which is radioactive waste and spent fuel management, Post 2023, we will have the third partnership envisioned in the Euratom work program, which is the partnership for radioactive waste management. So that is something forthcoming. In 2021, for the most part, this will cover the URED European Joint Program. I go back to radiation protection and ionizing radiation applications. The main part is, of course, the co-funded European Partnership in Radiation Protection and Detection of Ionizing Radiation. And finally, we come to competences and cross-cutting issues, which consists of 10% of the fission budget. The most important part here is the MSCA postdoctoral fellowships in fission and fusion research. We'll discuss these later on. It's quite important area for the research community and to ensure that we have the expertise in Europe in terms of Euratom research. In this slide, I present the 16 forthcoming open call topics, where we have the first one in nuclear safety all the way to topic 7, which is about topic 7, tritium management in fusion and fission facilities. So all these 6 topics address nuclear safety as a focus area. Then the next focus area, which is topic 8, is about safe spent fuel and radioactive waste management and decommissioning. Topics 9 through 11 cover nuclear science and ionizing radiation applications, radiation protection, and emergency preparedness. And then the last batch, which are topics 12 through 16, are expertise and competences in the nuclear field within the community. If you intend to participate in any of these topics, please feel free to reach out to me. And of course, I can guide you specifically on these topics and also support you in making the connections on a European level and even at an international level to link up with other potential applicants and consortia to enable you to participate. In this next slide, I present to you the, of course, the budgets foreseen for each topic and also the expected EU contribution per project. And finally, in the last column, you will see the expected number of projects to be funded. So as you can see in topic 1, which is going to be the one on safety, you will have the most odds and chances of obtaining funding since there are 6 projects expected to be funded with a total budget of 18 million. An important point on this slide is regarding the deadline. The foreseen call deadline for all of these topics is the 7th October of 2021. So 7th October this year. We know it's a short time period, but unfortunately this doesn't seem to be that the date will be pushed back further. It seems this is the ultimate date, unfortunately, for this year, but still with almost 4.5 months time, people can apply, and of course with an excellent project to be positively evaluated. I'm going to pick on topic 9. As you can see, there is a star on the 10 million. Basically, this is the European partnership, and the 10 million is only for 2022. The allocated budget of around 30 million, those additional 20 million are likely to come from 2023 and 2025 budgets for that specific partnerships. regarding the overall budget being spent in 2021, we have about 50.9 million for the entire topic area. And coming from 2022, we will see 48.45 million euros, of course, addressing fission research. Now we come to other actions not subject to call for proposals. These basically start off with the grants to identified beneficiaries. Namely, the first one is the co-funded European Partnership for Fusion Research. Then we have the FISA EURED Waste Conference, which is a presidency event. And this is an interesting event to participate in because you can find a lot of collaborative partners there. And the third one is for the Ukrainian NCPs to be able to have the NCP networks and involvement there. Here, regarding the co-funded European Partnership for Fusion Research, I'd like to mention that over the 5 years of this program, it will benefit from around 540 million euros, basically almost reaching beyond that actually, but that is an indicative budget. And for 2021 and 2022, it will utilize just above 102 million euros per year. The envisioned funding rate for this partnership will reach a maximum of 55% of the eligible costs of the action. To participate, of course, since these identified beneficiaries, the list of legal entities are nominated by member states or associate countries to participate in the co-funded European Partnership for Fusion Research. Here I would like to invite our guest speaker, Prof. Engineer Pierluigi Mollicone, who is an associate professor at the University of Malta, to give us a little detail of the work that they are going to be doing in this partnership. Pierluigi, if you can hear me, kindly unmute.
Yes, hello, can you hear me?
Yes, and we can also see you, so I will stop sharing the screen for a minute and allow you to intervene.
Okay, thank you, George. I will just give a brief overview of university's work in relation to fusion energy. So first of all, my name is Pierluigi Mollicone. I'm an academic at the University of Malta. I'm a member of the Department of Mechanical Engineering within the Faculty of Engineering. My area of study is stress analysis to design mechanical components and analyze thermomechanical processes mainly using computational tools. I have managed a number of research projects at university in the past 12 years, and almost all of them were as part of a consortium with other universities, research institutes, or industry. So today I'm talking to you because the University of Malta has just joined the Eurofusion Consortium, which is a consortium of research institutes that work toward the realization of nuclear fusion energy. Nuclear fusion energy is an important aspect of, you could say, renewable energy in a way, because it's a form of energy that can provide, can be sustainable and have low level of waste and low level of risks when compared to the current technology of nuclear fission. So University of Malta will work specifically on what is called the DEMO project. DEMO stands for Demonstrator Project, and as the name implies, this is a project to design a demonstrator power station, to design a plant that will eventually be built that will be able to demonstrate electricity generation from a fusion reactor. Of course, this doesn't happen in isolation, and this is the result of a long historical process. And in particular, it will build upon another major project of Eurofusion, which is called ITER, ITER from the way, which means the way in Latin. And which is a project where a nuclear fusion reactor is currently being built to a large scale, at a large scale, at a full scale. It's currently being built in the south of France. And basically all the research and the experience from ITER and obviously previous research will be used in DEMO. And the idea is that DEMO will push forward the knowledge and the development so that we can reach a level where eventually we will have a power station based, a functional power station that will provide electricity based on nuclear fusion. The university has submitted a proposal, so with the process of participation started a while ago, some time ago, and mainly last year we were involved in submitting proposals for work in engineering, stress analysis and diagnostics. And following a review process, we have been chosen to work in 2 work packages. The roadmap of these work packages spans over 5 to 7 years. This is a large group, and in the group, everyone contributes based on their expertise, and our job will be related to stress analysis. So stress analysis of important components as part of DEMO, and the work will be aimed at the realization of these components, of designing them. Obviously, you have to keep in mind that we're talking about conditions which are very extreme. Fusion reactions imply very extreme conditions, and this is why this leads to a lot of topics, gives us the opportunity to investigate a lot of things which are at the edge, let's say, which are extreme and therefore unique and therefore involve a lot of research and development. So in particular, our team will be working on the stress analysis part. The team is myself, so within the faculty and Faculty of Engineering and Department of Mechanical Engineering, there is myself and Professor Martin Muscat, who will be working on the research. And obviously the whole group from universities is, apart from us, from our faculty, is made up of all the support, the very important support team, specifically the project support team at the university, the research support services directorate, and also in a way the knowledge transfer office, and all the offices related to successfully engage in this consortium, to participate and hopefully be successful in our work. That is all I have to say, George. So I guess I can give you the floor.
Thank you very much, Pierluigi, and we look forward, of course, to see the results and the team at University of Malta working on this interesting field to expand, and of course to, in the near future, see the technological breakthroughs that you make in real life within the DEMO project. So we, for sure, we look forward to that. And on a personal level, I also would like to see this quick process happening. So it takes a lot of effort, but
yes.
Once you see the realization and in the DEMO project, it will be a success story, of course. Thank you very much for your intervention, Pierluigi.
Thank you.
And I'll jump back into the slides now. So I'll share my screen again. I'll move on to the next slide. We are still on the other actions part. Here we have the prizes, which include the Soft Innovation Prize, where the prizes are for the first, second, and third places, with 50K, 30K, and 20K envisioned, respectively. Then we have the Nuclear Innovation Prize, where there will be 2 categories. Again, we have prizes for the first, second, and third ranked, with the same amounts, 50K, 30K, and 20K respectively. Then we have, under the other actions, we have the public procurement sections listed. We have 2 points there. We won't go into them. And then there are also subscription actions of the Euratom. Again, we won't go into them. And then we have the expert contract actions. I will take a minute to explain this regarding the external expertise, of course, to evaluate the proposals. The European Commission is transparent, so it uses third parties, external experts, and you can register yourself on the funding and tender portal to be possibly selected through your CV to evaluate proposals. This is not just specifically for Euratom, but also for other European programs. So it's a very rewarding experience. You, of course, get paid for your activities, and also you gain knowledge and insights on how the evaluation process takes place. And of course, it's a great networking opportunity as well to encounter other experts in the field. The second point under expert contract actions also covers the expert group for on the ex-post evaluation of the Euratom program for 2014-2020 and the interim evaluation of the Euratom program for this cycle 21 up to 2025. And finally, under the other actions, we also have support for the MSAA in nuclear research and training. This is a very interesting area. Unfortunately, this was not being done in the previous work program. Now it's back in the work program, which is the MSCA postdoctoral fellowship, basically application. This will cover both fission and fusion, and of course it will also utilize budget from both. If you are interested in applying, you of course must comply with all conditions as defined in the call for Horizon Europe MSCA postdoctoral fellowships for 2021, the first call basically. And also you have to ensure that you're keeping to the MSCA work program instructions, including specific eligibility conditions that apply to the MSCA postdoctoral fellowships in the research area covered by the Euratom program, and sorry, research and training program, of course. So as I think I mentioned, there's 1 million from 2021 towards this specific topic, and another 1 million euros for 2022. It will be a competitive, of course, call, but I try to urge you to be aware of this opportunity. And later on this month, we will have our own MSCA webinar on the 19th of May. So if you're interested in carrying out a postdoc fellowship in these fields of fission or fusion, please listen in. And following that event, if you are interested in or planning to submit an application this year and have identified maybe a supervisor at this point, we will have a postdoctoral fellowship proposal writing workshop on the 16th and also on the 17th of June. So please take the opportunity, and maybe if not yourself, maybe you can share this with other colleagues or potential applicants. So that brings us to a conclusion on the main areas of the work program, and the remaining slides cover the general conditions, and I summarize them in these next slides. Basically, Section A is about admissibility. So of course, you have to apply before the call deadline. You have to do it electronically on the funding and tendering portal. And a very important aspect is to include a plan for the exploitation and disseminations of results, including communications activities, unless, of course, otherwise provided in the specific call conditions. Again, with regards to page limits, this follows the general Horizon approach, which full application is now 45 pages, with the exception of the CSAs, where the limit is down to 30 pages. And for the program co-fund actions, this remains the same as in Horizon 2020, where the limit is 70 pages. With regards to eligibility, any legal entity, of course, regardless of place of establishment, can participate, including legal entities from non-associated third countries or international organizations are eligible to participate. But the question of funding, you need to check upon it. Continuing on admissibility, of course, applicants must be, sorry, I already covered these. I'm just repeating myself in this slide and highlighting the other main aspects of admissibility. So ensure to have a complete and application and supporting documents that are required in the proposal. And I think I've covered most of these points in the admissibility. And with regards to eligibility, I also covered some points earlier in the previous slide. Entities eligible for funding have to be member states of the Euratom framework. Apologies for that sound. They also have to be associated countries, and there are, of course, specific conditions to be able to receive funds. With regards to the consortium composition, I've covered this in earlier slides, and of course, the conditions are similar to Horizon Europe, where you have to have the involvement of member states from at least 2 other independent legal entities, and at least each one established in a different member state or associated country. There are also some specific rules for the program co-fund actions. I won't cover that since it's not really an open call. Again, on eligibility, the general conditions covers the definition on TRL level. It covers the ethics, security, and gender equality plans. So if you need information about these, make sure to read the general conditions. Here I just list the main headings in each section. Under section C, which is on financial and operational capacity and exclusions, the financial capacity, basically applicants must have stable and sufficient resources to successfully implement the project and contribute their share, such as in Horizon Europe, basically. And of course, organizations in several projects must have sufficient capacity to implement all these projects. And with regards to operational capacity, applicants must have the know-how and qualifications and resources to successfully implement their tasks in the project and contribute their fair share, basically. And of course, there are some exclusions which bar applicants from receiving EU grants and basically cannot participate at all within this program. Section D is the award criteria. Basically, it covers the evaluation and ranking that is done here. And of course, it outlines the award criteria. Again, these are excellence, impact, and quality, and efficiency of the implementation, depending, of course, on the type of action. Scores and weighting section. Basically, each criterion will be scored out of 5, and the threshold for individual criteria will be 3. The overall threshold applying to the sum of the 3 individual scores will be 10. Take note that in regards to innovation actions, the impact section will be given a 1.5 weight. Section E, which is the documents, basically Part A and Part B. Part A, of course, contains the administrative information about the applicant organization and the summarized budget for the proposal and cost-specific questions. And Part B contains the technical description of the project. Section F is the procedure. Of course, the evaluation procedure and the ranking is outlined. and also the review procedure in case you want more information on this, you can extract it from the general conditions. And here also an indicative timetable for the evaluation and for the time of signature to grant agreement is outlined. We're nearing the end here. Section G is legal and financial setup of the grant agreements. Basically, you will have the start date and the project duration. You will find the milestones and deliverables here. Forms of grant, funding rate and maximum grant amount. Budget categories and cost eligibility rules are outlined. Reporting and payments arrangements. Certificates of financial nature if needed, and liability regime for recoveries, provisions concerning project implementation, and finally non-compliance and breach of contracts conditions are outlined in this section. The last item in this general conditions is section G, which covers the JRC infrastructures and expertise in nuclear safety and radiation protection and education and training, basically making the JRC available to applicants for grants from the Euratom program 2021-2025. Basically, you can find even the contacts you can utilize to invite the JRC. And in this point, I outline the main characteristics and expertise of the JRC in the nuclear areas. With that slide, I thank you for your time. On this slide, you will find the National Contact Points team at the Malta Council for Science and Technology. We are the NCPs that represent Malta, and you can contact any one of us and we'll make sure to give you the right information and support you along your journey to obtain European funding, and of course to reach new excellence in your research fields. We have social media channels. Kindly like our pages and follow us, because we share a lot of information and provide insights through our diverse social media channels. Here, if there are any questions, I can take some questions. So let me end this slideshow so I can see if there are any questions in the chat box. Sorry, I am having some technical issues. I'm trying to understand what's going on. Okay, I have the webinar back on my screen. So let me check the chat box. Apparently there are no questions. So thank you all for